CD versus vinyl. Hey everybody, this is TJR, and welcome to another edition of CD versus vinyl. This week, we're going to be comparing the debut album by the Jimi Hendrix Experience, entitled, Are You Experienced? Now, what I have in my hands here is the 50th anniversary re-release. I think these came out around 2017, roughly, don't quote me. These were, of course, remastered by Eddie Kramer, who engineered the original album, and also George Marino. Against this, I'll, of course, be comparing the 50th anniversary CD version of the same remastering. Now, I should give a little bit of history about myself and the Jimi Hendrix catalog. Even though I'm a guitarist, for a long time, I felt no strong need to explore the catalog. In fact, for decades, I was perfectly happy just to simply have a best of collection in my music collection. And, that's fine, because music hits us at different times in our lives. And there are some artists who very early on in my musical journey, I immediately wanted to dig deeper into their catalog. The Beatles would be a good example of that. But then there are some artists who I'm happy with just a best of collection, but then at some point something will happen, just a light bulb, a switch will go off, and I'll realize I really got to hear their catalog now. I've really got to explore it. This happened not that long ago when I went to Record Store Day and decided I'm going to get that War box set of their first 5 albums. I did later review it on the channel. And like I said, for a long time, I didn't need to hear their catalog, but then suddenly I did. And I'm really glad that I did. It added new music into my blood that I really appreciate hearing now. Maybe I wouldn't have appreciated it back then. I think the same held true for Jimi Hendrix. When these were released initially on CD, and they were all released together, they had, of course, Axis Bold as Love, Electric Ladyland. I keep wanting to call it Electric Landlady. The Christy McCall album. It's hard to resist saying that. And then, of course, First Rays of the New Rising Sun, the posthumous album, which, by the way, I consider to be canon. I know some people don't, but I do. So let's, first of all, just talk about these releases here. Now, this is the CD version here, and we're just going to compare them physically speaking, and then we'll talk about the music here. But mostly, actually not so much talk about the music as just talk about how they sound, the difference between the CD and the vinyl. I'm rambling. Okay. This is TJR, and these videos are made possible by our patron supporters and viewers like you. Become a patron supporter and you'll get your name in the credits and exclusive weekly videos not available on the channel. If you can't be a patron supporter, you can still show your support by clicking like and letting these videos play to the very end. This helps the YouTube algorithm recommend us to more viewers like you. Thanks for your support. Back to the program. So let's first just talk about how the CD was packaged. These were in really nice expanded packaging, and they fold out 3 ways here in a trifold. Of course, you get the CD of the album, but you also get a DVD with a little documentary about the making of the album. All of these editions were packaged this way. In addition, there was a really nice booklet here inside the CD. There we go. It was loaded with tons of photos, newspaper clippings, images of handwritten lyrics, memorabilia, just loaded with stuff, some really good historical essays. What I liked the most is that it contained the lyrics for the songs. And something I'll say about Jimi Hendrix that I don't think a lot of people talk about is that I think we're all so enamored with his guitar playing and his musical genius that we don't think about the lyrics he wrote. And I know that Hendrix was a big admirer of Bob Dylan, so clearly he appreciated lyric writing. And I believe he took lyric writing very seriously. There are some really good lyrics. And until I had the CD and I sat there with it and I read the lyrics while I was listening, I didn't really realize, he was a good lyricist. I'm not saying he's Bob Dylan, but I'm saying he was a good lyricist. He really put some care into it, I think. Some songs better than others, of course. Of course, some songs don't need the best of lyrics. Some of them just need minimal phrasing to convey what's being conveyed. And that is also, to me, knowing when to minimalize is also a sign of a good lyricist. I'm getting off topic, aren't I? But anyways, these were nicely done. They also included a whole bunch of additional tracks that were not on the original LP release, back when the album was first released. These are not listed as any kind of bonus tracks. They're now considered part of the album. I don't 100% know the history, the backstory on that. If you do, please leave a comment and let me know. But another nice thing about this CD package here, as I remember when they came out, they were giving you all this extra stuff, a DVD, expanded booklet, but they weren't charging any more than they would for a standard single CD release at the time. I believe these were about roughly $10, give or take, depending on where you looked, but roughly about $10. So to me, that's the right way to do a re-release, an anniversary release of your album. Pack it with a lot of extras, but you're asking your fans to buy it again. Don't charge any more than you would charge for a regular CD. Because, the CD's already done, Anyways, though, those are my thoughts on that. But a really good job of an anniversary re-release done right on CD. And so here is the vinyl version of that. Now, of course, because records, LPs can't hold as much, audio, this is just the songs that were on the original LP release. This is in a gatefold, and here's the inside. This material is new. This was not on the original release. In fact, I don't know if the original was released as a gatefold. I've never owned an original LP copy. I haven't yet had a chance to even look at one. But at any rate, though, this also came with a booklet which replicates information and photos that were on this, although there was more visual material on this than there was in this, although all the text material is the same. Actually, I need to correct myself. The lyrics aren't included in this booklet. That was, too bad they couldn't have just sprung for a few extra pages and given you all of that. But the essays, the information, the historical notes, all of that are in here. And a good deal of the photos that were in the CD package are also in this here. Since this is a shorter booklet, I can kind of give you the whole thing, the whole experience, so to speak. And there that is. Let me just really quickly also show you the LP. I think, again, there was a lot of attention to just quality. This is very thick, heavy-duty cardboard. It's not cheap, it wasn't cheaply put together. And the booklet is very nicely done too, you saw that. But the record is also on 180-gram vinyl, and it came packaged with an anti-static sleeve. A lot of times, I'm having to replace the sleeves with anti-static, but here they just put it in. I think that's great, and you should always do that with anniversary releases of LPs, nowadays. In fact, I think for the cost that vinyl is these days, at the very least, if you're going to do a paper sleeve, make sure it's got the anti-static material lining on the inside. If not, put it in an anti-static sleeve. Just, go the extra mile for that. So these were both really nicely packaged. But now let's talk about the audio. So as usual, I put the LP and the CD into their respective players. And of course, I bring the needle down on the LP, I hit play on the CD, and I A-B back and forth with my remote control between the CD and the LP. Usually there's only a few seconds difference between the two, so I can really get a sense of, how they sound. And oftentimes, of course, CDs will have more highs, than LPs will. Sometimes those highs are a good thing. Sometimes they're not. They can be shrill. Oftentimes, I'll also find that the LPs will have more bass. As I listened to them, I did notice this. And also, I have to say that while there was a difference between these two, and I'll tell you which one I think is the better way to go with it, at least in my opinion, is the difference was always very minimal. I did hear more treble in the CD. I did hear more bass in the LP. But the differences were very minimal. And depending on your system, I think it would be very easy. If you want to hear more bass, you can EQ it. If you want to hear more treble, you can just EQ it. I don't think it was that big of a difference between the two. But if I had to choose between the two, I would have to say that my ears favored the CD over the LP. Perhaps the most telling moment in this for me was listening to Hey Joe. That opening guitar, that very muscular guitar that he plays solo. And there were definitely more highs on the CD. And like I said before, sometimes more highs can make it sound brittle, make it sound shrill. But here the highs were just right. It added just a little extra sheen to the CD over the LP. And it still felt muscular, but it just felt like I was right there. I could, in front of the amplifier. I could even smell the warmth of the tubes, coming off the amplifier. So just better. Also, another moment was the background vocals on Hey Joe, the don't quote me if I've got the notes right or wrong. But those notes, those background vocals just sounded a little bit sweeter, a little bit prettier. Once again, these were minimal differences. If you've already got the LP, you're good, But just a little bit better. Overall, I think that the CD just came off a little bit stronger than its LP counterpart. I still think the LP sounds really good. And if you're one of those, it's like LP only, well, you're fine. And if you already bought this before buying the CD, you're fine, really. Like I said, a lot of what I'm discussing, I think depending on how you EQ, you're gonna be fine, But if I had to choose between the two, it would be the CD. Mostly, like I said, the major difference was that the bass, like for instance, on the second track here, Manic Depression, I remember the bass definitely had, it felt more real to me. But again, a little EQing, who knows? Everybody's results are going to vary because everybody's using different systems and we all hear things differently and we all have our personal preferences as well. So, this one is almost a tie, almost, not quite, but the CD, just a little bit better. What I want to know now is, have you ever compared these two together? And let me know what your experience was. In spite of what a lot of people may say, I feel that everybody's experience is different when they listen to things. I don't feel there's any right or wrong answers when it comes to this. There's just individual experiences. I'm sharing mine, but I want to hear yours. If you've ever compared these, please let me know. Now, of course, the one thing on my mind now is, how would this remastering sound like if I could compare it to an original LP pressing? I've never had that opportunity. At some point, you never know. I'm always checking out used record stores. I may run across a copy that is good enough and not too expensive, and I can do that comparison. So hopefully I'll get to do that someday. If you've had the chance to compare an original pressing to either the 50th anniversary LP or the CD, again, please let me know. Anyways, that's it for this edition. Let me know your thoughts. Either way, I just really appreciate everybody and anybody who would, stop in and watch these videos. It means a lot to me. Everybody take care. We'll see you in the next episode, and hope you all stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.